Testing. Hey, what's up? Got a link for you below. I wanted you to take a look at. There's some test shots from the Sony A6300. They're on Camera Labs, I believe, and man, the pictures are horrible. They're rooftop shots using like the G Master. I remember their equivalent of the 2470, something like. No, it's their wide angle. I forget which lens it is. It's on the website, and it was the Fuji X-Pro2 with the 12 to 24. And the Fuji smoked its ass. One of the serious issues with the A6300 is got an anti-aliasing filter. The X-trans sensor on the Fuji doesn't need that because it's an X-trans sensor. It's not a bare layout on the sensor. Well, resolution was bad. Just yesterday, a bunch of people pointed me to a video review of the husband and wife team that were shooting in Miami, and I believe their exact words were that they weren't shooting video, but they were shooting regular photos in Miami, and the temperature, the ambient temperature, was 74 degrees, and the camera overheated. Like, damn, really? It wasn't video, and it was 74 degrees. I mean, I know Miami's hot. My other house is near there, except in Fort Myers on the other side of the state. I don't know how hot it gets down there. However, it's not humid this time of year. But it overheated shooting pictures, not video. It's like, well, damn. That's not good. So check the link below from Camera Labs and let you take a peek at the A63. So apparently Sony can't make a camera that doesn't overheat. This video is like an insight into something that you don't see. And this is really the big screw up that everybody makes about a camera. It's like, well, it's a neat little wonder box. It's like, it's a wonder box, and it does all this and all that. And I call myself a camera whisperer. Doesn't mean I'm talking to cameras or I'm crazy. It means that I can see this magical bubble that surrounds a camera, and it's called an ecosystem. And that is support, spare parts, customer service, cheap lenses that have been made for decades and decades and decades in gigantic lens factories in multiple countries for 60 years, billion-dollar glass factories. And the secret of Sony is that it is not a camera company. It's an electronics company, like PlayStation, music boxes, used to be cassette players and Walkmans, and even gaming devices, and laptop computers and desktop computers, and it's an electronics company, not a camera company. They don't even repair their own cameras. They outsource it to a bad company. They don't make their own lenses. People boast about Sony incorporating some of Minolta's stuff. It's like, Minolta? Yeah, the worst camera company on the face of the earth that went bankrupt because they made such horrible crap that nobody bought it and it was just worthless trash. It's like, that's what you're boasting about? Is that they incorporated Minolta? Really? That's like, saying someone's awesome for hooking up with a group of pedophiles or something. It's ridiculous. Don't praise Sony for hooking up with Minolta. So the camera's got no support. Once it's sold, they wash their hands of you. Why do you hate Sony so much? What's wrong with you? I'd rather people be happy, and I'm not selling anything to anybody. Why don't you buy a camera with this invisible bubble around it of like decades of lenses, customer service that's really good, spare parts, quick turnaround, all of that stuff matters. But no, when people go to the camera store or they read reviews like, it's a wonder box, it does 1 billion frames per second, has 6,000 autofocus points. Yeah, but their customer service sucks. They don't make lenses, and they outsource their repairs to like a fly-by-night company. It's an electronics company, not a camera company. So this is the secret bubble that surrounds Sony. Something else you'll notice is you'll never see a Sony artisan use their camera gear like professionals. Professionals leave their cameras on the ground, they toss them around, they mistreat them, and you'll never see anybody doing that with a Sony. It is an electronics wonder box. I know the allure behind it. It's like, whoa, it takes 4K video. Yeah, but it overheats. No, but they fixed that with a firmware update. It still overheats. They underproduce. They have no spare parts. You'll be sitting there left waiting, scratching yourself for God knows how long. It's the ecosystem. When you look at a camera, don't just look at the camera, look at the ecosystem, the support. Buy whatever makes you happy, but buy something that's going to make you happy. Not something that's going to, you know, the shine's going to wear off of it in 4 days and you realize this thing ultimately sucks because they don't make anything. You know, Nikon and Canon's got decades and decades and decades and decades and decades making glass, parts, all sorts of cheaps. I mean, the lenses out, you know, there's lenses everywhere. Try to go to a pawn shop and buy a Sony, you know, what? Sony doesn't make accessories. They don't make lenses. Where are you going to find good cheap lenses on, you know? Kind of amazes me that people will invest in a wonder box with no ecosystem. You know it's only a camera, right? Yeah, and it's a neat camera. What about lenses? What about speed lights? What about customer service? What about support? What about cheap parts? What about off-brand parts? Oh, I never thought of that. You're right, you didn't think of that. Basically, you didn't think at all. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.